Well, the month of October is officially gone. It is November 1st as of this recording, and we're going to rank everything I watched for the month of October. So let's go. What's up, guys? Welcome to the latest monthly encasing where I round up everything that I watched for the month. This is the first year I've been doing this, by the way. And at the end of the year, I'm going to be ranking the entire year, top 10 best, top 10 worst, horror, non-horror. You just look for a lot of rankings, like a ranking enema at the end of the year, okay? But this is a nice way to kind of keep track of everything that's coming out throughout the year and what I think of what's coming out. So if you remember on the last encasing, I think I told you guys I was going to include the Halloween franchise, but I decided let's just do a separate video for that, which I did. So I'll put a card right here if you want to check out my brand new Halloween ranking. First time since I did Halloween Ends. There was definitely some changes on that list, and I think you'll have fun with it. I think it goes without saying, I didn't see everything that came out this month, so of course there's probably going to be some omissions on here. Just know that. But I did see at least 10 movies, and all of these are new movies. I think this is the first time, because usually I include everything that I've watched, you know, but I didn't watch a lot of classic type movies this month outside of Halloween. I guess Halloween took up a lot of my time. So all of these movies on this list are new, and I think I have 10 of them, all right? And there's one TV show. Excuse me, guys, real quick, I have to interject. This is Futurely. I missed 3 freaking movies. 3. Sometimes when you get down and you start editing and those movies just kind of jump out at you by looking at your letterbox list or whatever. But yeah, 13 movies is what you're getting, not 10. Okay. So how I'm going to do this, since I've already recorded everything, is I'm just going to inject those 3 movies pretty much where they belong. Okay. So just know that they'll be kind of spaced throughout the video. I'm not going to give you like all 3 of them at once. That way you'll know exactly where they land in my ranking. Okay. So don't let the numbers fool you as far as 10 to 1, because there's actually 13. All right. So yeah, anyway, back to the countdown, guys. I am sorry. Enjoy. Oh, and you will know the newer footage because I have my wife's door decoration. I actually put it in my backdrop. So you'll see that during those 3 movies, okay? Okay, let's jump into it. Number 10 is Coyotes. This is Justin Long coming back and collecting a check or maybe helping out a friend. It's not a knock on the guy. It's just to state that he's so talented. And I think he sort of wasted his talents with this movie. Yeah, you do get some Justin Long isms in this, but I do think it's sort of a weak story. This isn't a creature feature that really stands out all that much. And funny enough, the actual creatures in the movie, Coyotes, they're all CGI, which they would probably have to be. And they don't look bad or anything, but I don't think there's enough of them. I think more of this movie is leaning on a family and comedy, I guess, like the comedy dynamic of this family in this horrible situation in the Hollywood Hills, making fun of rich people that don't know how to fend for themselves. Their survival skills are just horrible. You know, there's some interesting characters. It's not like the worst characters of the year. Justin Long and Kate Bosworth are more of the clean-cut type normal family, and then there's this other family that they're just complete assholes. Brittany Allen happens to play the wife of that family. And I always root for Brittany Allen. I love everything she's in. And she's a bright spot here, but I don't think she's in the movie enough. So overall, I think the movie was just very, very meh and forgettable, unfortunately. It won't be the worst movie of the year, but it might be in the list. And number 9, The Smashing Machine. And I know you're saying to yourself, damn, number 9, is it that bad? It's not bad per se, but I could not help but compare it to movies like The Wrestler, which I think are just phenomenal. And I don't think an amazing performance alone is enough to make for a great movie. I do think The Rock gives it his all. You could tell that he really took this role seriously, and he does a really good job. He's convincing, you know, even like changing his face with some prosthetics to look like the guy. But, you know, there's been so many of these sports biopics, and to stand out is no easy feat. And to the movie's credit, there's only been so many movies about MMA fighting, or I guess UFC. But again, you know, Warrior is another one that really stands out. One of my favorite movies of that year. And this one, it just doesn't have, I guess, the highs and lows that you want. It's got a lot of lows, but it just doesn't have those, I guess, the redemption type moments that really send you emotionally into the stratosphere. No, it just feels like, okay, that was a Mark Kerr's life story, really interesting. Now I'm going to go about my day. It's not something that you feel like I got to go back and watch, right? Okay, the first one that I missed, Shelby Oaks, the Chris Stuckman movie. I can't believe I forgot this. I can't believe I forgot all three of them. But yeah, Shelby Oaks did not pan out to be everything that I wanted it to be. But, you know, I guess it goes without saying, and everybody has said this, I have to applaud Chris Stuckman for actually getting a movie released theatrically. That looks great. Actually, it's a great looking freaking movie. Gorgeous. I think there's some good ideas there, but I think it sort of just kind of peters out halfway through, and so then the rest of the movie is kind of bland and boring, unfortunately. But again, I think there's some good ideas, and I'll say this too. I will probably give Shelby Oaks another watch down the line when it comes on to VOD or something like that. I do like these types of movies, right? It had that Blair Witch feel to it, as well as a few other movies, and I dug where he was going with the movie, but again, I think it was just kind of filled with too many horror tropes. And I guess the lesson here is that you can review movies all day, but making them is a whole different animal, okay? Making them is a whole different animal. But I gotta commend the Critical Drinker. If you saw his video, he said, hey, at least it's better than Rogue Elements. I was like, wow, okay. He jumped right out there with that. Number 8, leading into another sports biopic, is Christy, which I'm gonna record my review for this movie, my full review, right after I record this. I saw Christy last week. This is Sydney Sweeney, who is all over the place lately. And she's really putting herself out there, trying different roles. And I respect that. You know, I like that she's not staying in the same lane. She's trying different things. But the actual story here, which of course I won't spoil if you don't know about the story, I didn't know as I was watching it. And this movie does get really dark, and it goes into some unexpected places. It's not your normal sports biopic of, you know, just a rise and fall. No, it's like a rise, a fall, and a tragedy. So I found that part interesting. I don't think Sydney Sweeney was strong enough to carry the movie. I think acting-wise, she's okay, but I don't think physically she sold it as a professional boxer. Especially comparing her to, like, you know, other sports movies where the physical performance is almost a tour de force. You know, you can tell the actor just really transformed themselves, you know, kind of like Jake Gyllenhaal in Southpaw. I did not buy that with Sydney Sweeney at all. But the story itself is quite interesting. Number 7, Tron Ares. I thought Tron Ares was fine. I know this movie took a beating. It did not do that well at the box office. Jared Leto really took a beating. I thought he was fine in the movie, but as a Tron fan, this gave me what I was looking for, right? I love Legacy, and I don't think this is nearly as good as Legacy. But I think the conditions that I watched it in really helped, because I saw this twice, actually. I saw it once in like Dolby, and I saw it once in 3D. Both times were amazing. The 3D was really amazing, especially when they're in like the Tron world. Oh my God, just so freaking awesome. So I looked at this as more of like an experience than a movie, you know? And when I watch it at home on my 65-inch OLED, it'll still be an experience. It'll be cool. I think there are certain movies that they're movies, and certain movies are just more of an experience. And the story sort of takes a back seat because it is a generic story with generic characters. But the experience is quite fun. Oh, hey guys, Futurely here again. We got another entry. Halloween Aftermath. This is the fan film that James Grimm put together, and I think this is one of the better, if not best, Halloween fan films I think I've ever seen. I'll have to go back. I know some people mentioned in the comments of that review that they preferred maybe like Inferno, or Inferno's really good for sure. There's some really good quality Halloween fan films out there. Halloween Night is another one that I definitely recommend to you guys. But yeah, this one takes place between kills and ends, And I don't think it tries to disrespect any of those movies, especially Ends, like a lot of people would probably want it to do. No, this isn't taking the place of Ends. It's a bridge in between it. And I appreciated that because I happen to absolutely adore Ends. You'll even see like billboards with Corey Cunningham on there in this movie. But I think it's shot very well with James Grimm. I definitely think it's too long at 2 hours and 10 minutes. It's almost there at studio level. Yeah, you can tell it's a fan film, but man, some of the shots in this are really good. But it's also supported by really strong acting, you know, for a change, because a lot of fan films, they do have bad acting. This one has some bad acting, but for the most part, especially the leads, really good acting. Number 6, The Red Mask, and I'm excited to recommend this one because I'm sure a lot of you guys did not see this movie. A lot of you guys probably didn't even hear of this, but this is a slasher movie about a writer writing this story about this, let's just say, iconic horror character. You know, this is fiction, but what if she was writing about, like, say, Jason Voorhees? The fan base, they're extremely protective of this character, so that's the world we're creating here. And she's wanting to create a more modern day version of the character. So I think this movie's more about a writer's plight, feeling pressure to fall in line, I guess, and she wants to create something different. But then the story really takes a turn when it's kind of like art imitating life, and it gets pretty wild. And I was quite surprised by how much fun I had with this movie, and also how it was putting a microscope over, I guess, the current social landscape. And I think there's a way you can really get in trouble when you're approaching those waters, but I think this movie does it convincingly, okay? And I think you'll know what I mean when you watch it, and I think you know what I'm talking about. All right, and I think if you see the thumbnail from our review for this movie, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Number 5 is Bone Lake. This was, I guess, advertised as this year's like erotic thriller, and there is some eroticism in this movie, but don't expect like Basic Instinct or really any erotic movie that we got in the 90s that really went for it. No, this movie definitely is more fitting for today, meaning that it pulls back. There is some nudity in here, don't get me wrong, but it just doesn't really swing for the fences like a lot of those 90s erotic movies did. It takes place in an Airbnb, which is a constant these days for some reason, which doesn't bother me, you know. It's just a setting, right? And I think that's just the normal modern setting, is the Airbnb. And I think where it gets in trouble is it sort of repeats some of the plots of previous Airbnb movies where two people, they reserve the same place. But this one definitely goes into a different territory than others have, so I'll give it that. My biggest issue with this movie is more of just, it's not against the writing, but it's just against the character. Like the male character in this movie is just the biggest freaking wuss type character that you can possibly imagine. I did get some pushback on that because I have mentioned that in a couple movies this year. Look, I'm not saying that every movie has to have Sylvester Stallone in it, okay? That's not the point I'm trying to make. But I think there needs to be a little bit of a balance. And when you have a character that is just completely steamrolled over throughout the entire movie, and it's not necessary, then it becomes a problem. If the whole point of the story is for this particular character to be that way, then I guess I can give it a pass. But story-wise, he didn't have to be that bad, you know? So that's really what annoyed me. But I will say this is the movie of the month that I'm kind of curious to go back and give another watch. There's certain movies that come out and I feel like, you know what? I felt this way about the movie, but I feel like I need to go back and give it another watch because there was something about it that's still kind of calling me. So Bone Lake is definitely one that I'm going to give another watch soon, because I definitely like some of the ideas that this movie had. Hey, Futurely here again. One more time, okay, with feeling. Good Boy. I forgot to mention freaking Good Boy, and I have to put that on here, and it definitely should go in this little peg. This is just one of those unique novelty horror movies where you're seeing everything from a dog's point of view. It caught a little fire when it was first released. You know, there was a lot of buzz around it, and I think it was just because of that novelty aspect of it. It's a small little ghost type story. I don't think this movie's gonna like blow your hair back or anything, but it definitely hits you in the feels. I didn't find anything really remotely scary about this movie. It did have some creepy atmosphere, especially in like the old man's house and whatnot. But I liked the bond between the owner, who actually is, cancer ridden or stricken, and his relationship with his dog. And I think this movie made everybody that has dogs really appreciate their dogs that much more. And especially my little Levi, who's literally laying right down there with me. He's, 15 years old now, and he's had a couple of close calls here in the past few months. And this movie, it got me. It definitely got me, and it made me hug Levi a little bit more. Matter of fact, I'll pick him up right now and hug him. There you go, buddy. Yeah, buddy, I love you. Yes, I do. Mwah. He's a good boy. Number 4, Good Fortune. Probably the only comedy on the list, and it was very, very refreshing. I had a really great time with Good Fortune. Keanu Reeves can really do anything, and he is just a full-fledged comedic type of character in this, playing an angel with very small wings, and he just doesn't feel fulfilled with his, I guess, task as an angel. And then you have Aziz Ansari, who happened to direct and write this movie. He does a really fine job playing this character that's just like one paycheck away from being kicked out of his apartment. And, what do you do when you switch a poor guy with a rich guy, right? Where it gets it right is the movie's really funny, okay? And you have some really good talent behind that to sell it. Seth Rogen, Aziz, and Keanu, they all have really good chemistry together. And you know what? This movie was just so refreshing because there's not that many good comedies coming out lately. I don't know what happened to the comedy genre. And the weird thing is, too, is it seems like comedians, they all got podcasts now, which that's another whole discussion. But isn't it weird that the good comedy movie is gone, but all the comedians have podcasts now? And maybe that's where people are getting their comedy itch scratched, is going to these podcasts. So maybe comedians are just getting lazy, or not lazy, that's not the word for it. Maybe they're just picking a different career path. Maybe they don't want to make movies anymore. I don't know. Number 3, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. The original is one of my all-time favorite obsession thrillers, maybe one of my all-time favorite movies. I love that movie so much. So this movie definitely had things that I liked and things that kind of annoyed me. Overall, I think what really works for this movie is the 2 leads, Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Micah Monroe. I think they both are very convincing. I think you do have an interesting story that's quite different than the original story. It's the similar setup with Micah Monroe, her character Polly coming in and taking care of Mary Elizabeth Winstead's child. But there is a different backstory between these characters, which I think is much more personal. So I definitely dug this movie. I don't think it really landed perfectly, and I don't think it's nearly as good as the original, but I appreciated it. I definitely appreciated it. Number 2, Black Phone 2, which I don't think Black Phone 2 was as good as the first movie. I gave the first movie a fresh watch right before I went and saw Black Phone 2. And that first movie is like one of the better horror movies or thrillers to come out, I think, in the last at least 5 years. It's really that effective. And I loved the Grabber as a character, but I really loved Finn as a character. And so, they're bringing back Finn and Gwen, his sister, in this new one, but they're really injecting the supernatural aspect with steroids in this one. It's more of a Freddy Krueger type movie, which, by the way, look back there. There's that Freddy Krueger Steelbook box set. I really enjoyed the aesthetic of this movie, how it really felt like an 8mm type vibe throughout a lot of the movie, maybe too much of the movie, but I don't mind that. I think where it fails is it doesn't have enough of the Grabber in it. I think we needed more Grabber action, and that would have made this movie phenomenal. But I do think it's a good, creepy drama, right? Okay, number 1, and I'm going to get myself in trouble here, but it's Monster, the Ed Gein story. I really enjoyed this miniseries, and I need to front load this by stating that when I go into a drama series, I don't expect everything to be realism, okay? I do agree, though, that this show did take some liberties that were definitely questionable, especially concerning the character Bernice. I think they went too far with that angle in the show, but that's one issue I had with it. But overall, as far as the storytelling and the cinematography and the acting by Charlie Hunnam, who was phenomenal, I really enjoyed this, and I loved how it tied in with movie making and how influential this person was, with modern horror cinema, with, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Psycho, and even Silence of the Lambs. 3 of the most important horror films of the past 50 years, or 60 years. But I get why a lot of you guys did not like this show, and I understand those that refuse to watch the show. It's your time, and some people, they don't want to waste their time on watching serial killer type dramatizations. They'd probably rather watch a documentary. And you know what? They're probably right, okay? But I actually enjoyed it. I don't watch most serial killer dramatizations, but after Ryan Murphy's work with Dahmer, I was curious about this one. And I've always been curious about the Ed Gein story anyway, because what he did was just absolutely insanity. But again, I have to say this. Going into any of these dramatizations, I do not expect 100% realism. And you can pick any of them, and there's always going to be liberties taken, some more than others, okay? So I know a lot of you probably refuse to watch this, and I fully respect that. But I will say I quite enjoyed it. So yeah, that's my October monthly encasing. It was a decent month for movies. We are nearing the end of the year. We just have this month and December. So look for a lot, and I mean a lot, of freaking rankings come December timeframe. I start rolling them out about mid-December because I got a lot of them to get out, like best horror movies, worst horror movies, non-horror. I would say you're probably going to get like 6, 7 rankings, and you will get a December encasing. You will get that too. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't, damn it. All right. I would love, and I mean love, to get to 100,000 subscribers. But I just know it's probably going to be a few more years if it happens at all. I'm still enjoying the ride though. Love it to death. Also, subscribe to the second channel, Drumdums Xtra. A lot of great stuff going on over there. And I think if you look at the type of content I'm putting over there, you'll see, oh, this is more of a laid-back environment, and it's more spontaneous. Like if I have a thought that goes in my head, to give you an example, when I did my Halloween ranking, right, I had this whole thing about ranking these big franchises, and I was like, I could spend a good 5-10 minutes talking about just my headspace, and I didn't want to waste that at the beginning of the ranking. I know what I'll do. I'll make a separate video and I'll put it on the second channel. So it's like a companion piece. And you could watch the companion piece before the ranking. So you're going to see more videos like that. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where I talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, we do FIFA on Fridays. Follow me at Drumdums, and I'm a social support me on Patreon. Become a channel member. Buy me coffee. You know, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a good day, and Drumdum out.